Hi, it's Steve Riley. Welcome to this episode of Great Practice, Great Life. Today I have Kimberly Lee. Now, Kimberly Lee has a fantastic story, fantastic practice, and we're actually bringing Kimberly on to do two different podcasts. Today is one that is kind of a reprise or a review of a presentation that she did a couple of years ago, which we'll talk about in a second. So, Kimberly, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Steve. Glad to be here.
It's my honor to have you here. I appreciate you squeezing me into your busy schedule of world travels and all the different things that you're up to these days. So let's do some basic things real quick, just so because we have a lot of different people that listen to this podcast. And what I'd like to do is just do some basic stuff like where are you, what's your practice about? And so people can kind of get a sense of who you are as a practitioner.
Absolutely. We're in Palm Springs area. It's a beautiful retirement town. We have a trust and estate practice, and we've been here for about 22 years.
And you're in California, right? We're in the middle of
I'm so
California.
sorry. Yeah, California.
But you also
Definitely.
represent people from Canada throughout the state of California, some international people as well. So you've got a very large, while you're in a small town, you have a large practice as far as connections and capabilities go.
Yeah, we're very blessed that way. Especially since COVID, it's removed all the borders and physical challenges that were existed in our minds. Since we're bordering Canada, we have a lot of Canadian snowbirds that come down to the Palm Springs area during their winter. So consequently, we have a large portion of our client base coming from Canada.
So you put yourself into two positions, both of which you got paid to do, which was to learn, the language and to apply the language to transactions. And I'm just, there's a lot of fun to this story. But how do we end up in college? I mean, here you are, barely learning the language. How'd you get to college? How'd you get there?
I studied. What I did was I tried to study the dictionary, and that didn't work so well. My dad said, just read the dictionary, which was interesting suggestion. But I thought, how in the world would I be able to get through the dictionary? And we tried to watch TV. We couldn't understand any of the programs and couldn't understand the newscasters. They were speaking very quickly. So I was flipping channels and we found Sesame Street, which actually we understood. They were very simple words. They're the word fairy, the count. They were cartoon characters or animation. So that was what really helped us.
And so you actually learned English from watching Sesame Street. That's pretty amazing.
Correct. Highly recommended.
I highly recommend if your challenge is the place to go. So you're learning the language, but college was probably out of the realm of possibility for you. How'd you end up in college?
I just applied, and I could read. By the time I graduated from high school, I was able to read and speak simple communication. So I got I got a tutor to help me to make sure I can get up to speed. Actually, when I went to law school was when I learned how to write, because I was a horrible writer before law school. Even though I could write, I was not that great. I had to ask, friends and colleagues and, tutors to correct my papers to make sure that I'm not making errors.
Yeah. So you had kind of coaches at the time and resources at the time to work your way through it. My recollection is you went through law school as a single mom too, is my recollection. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah. And so you don't talk a lot about your personal life, but I know that's one of the big things. It's quite an achievement. So you're from another country, learning the language, learning how to write. And how old was your son Walter at the time?
I was married, and Walter was about 4 years old
4
when
years
I
old.
went to law school. And I was going to school and working and caring for our son, and my ex-husband at that point in time was suffering from some challenges himself. So he wasn't able to help as a parent. And of course, after the first year of law school, he decided to ask for a divorce. It was perfect timing. So that was challenging.
During exams, no doubt.
Mom. I'm sorry?
During exams, no doubt, right before exams.
Of course, it's right. I think was exam started like on Monday for finals, and I was very concerned to make sure I don't fail the exams. And we had a teachers conference on a Friday, and that's when he asked that he would like to file for divorce. I
Perfect.
said, well, would it be okay if we wait till after my finals? So around that time, also the one of the reading assignments was Mindset, which is an incredible book by Carol Dweck. So I read the book and it really inspired me. So I thought I will do is, and for those of you who do not know the author or the book, highly recommend it. But basically, the concept is that, if you're facing a challenge and you cannot do something, it's not because you have failed, but it's just you're not there yet. You're learning, you're in process to get there. So it's almost like a ninja, mind twist, right? It's like, wait a minute, I haven't failed. I'm just on my way there. And so I thought, well, that's what I would do. I'll call this Not Yet project. And I would then select different hobbies I would like to learn and different skills I would want to acquire for my own enjoyment.
Yeah, so this is great. So, and that's one of the things I love about it because it required a little bit of courage. And this is where you came up with the concept of the Courage of Not Yet projects because, you had no idea what to do. So, what was your first Not Yet project? What was the first one that you tried? And you made a list, right? You made a whole list of
I
things like,
did.
okay.
I did. I made a whole list, and I thought, well, and around the same time we read the book regarding placing constraint, positive constraint on our time. So I thought I would limit my not yet projects to each quarter. So I'll make a list of items and I'll choose one for each quarter, and I'll block out a day a week and focus on that project and do what I can to learn it. And then I don't have to be a perfectionist. I don't have to do it perfectly. I just have to do it enough where I enjoy it. So in that process, I learned about how to learn things, kind of like the art of learning, so to speak. But my first project was to make challah bread, which is the Jewish holiday bread. So that was my first project because my husband is Jewish. So I thought this will be kind of fun. This will impress him. So that was my first project.
What are some of the benefits? Let's just talk for a minute. What are the benefits to you for taking time off? Like, as you look back when you first had the challenge of taking time off, you chose 30 days. And what are the benefits? Why would you recommend this to somebody else?
Well, there are multiple benefits. One is that obviously, you have time to be able to spend time with family and relationship and pursue what you want to accomplish, because I'm not going to be working forever. I hope not, right? So at some point in time, I need to have something interesting to do. Also, as you mentioned before, it makes me a more interesting person to be around and to have the social support network. But one thing that was unexpected was the fact that by taking time off, it exposed all the issues in the office. So that helps me to identify how to make sure that those kind of holes in the ship are plugged and repaired and rethought through the process. Because when I'm there, I'm the person who's plugging my fingers into the hole so that the boat doesn't leak. So we have to remove the hero from the firm to be able to help the firm to be independent of the owner.
That's fantastic. So this is one of the challenges for a lot of lawyers is getting them out of the office so they're not there heroically fixing problems and plugging the holes, as you stated. And I usually tell lawyers, I'd rather have you take a great vacation than test it in a moment of crisis, which is how most lawyers get to test how strong their firm is without them, is during crisis, whether it's their crisis or a family member's crisis. It's really, really a critical foundation to building a firm, so it's not as dependent on you. What else? Is there anything else that you would see as an upside to taking time off?
I think I'm more relaxed. I can see things with greater perspective. I think I come up with better ideas to implement. It's almost like you have to step away to be able to have clarity versus, when you're in the trenches, you don't have the same perspective.